What screams, "This person peaked in high school," to you? Story 1. I had a conversation in a bar with a drinking buddy years ago. The guy kept going on about the one that got away, how perfect she was and their chemistry together, how natural it was, how he hasn't felt that way about any girl since, yada yada. He was feeling pretty sorry for himself and uninterested in meeting anyone else because they could never compare. When I asked how long ago it was that she moved away, he said, 8th grade, LMFAO. Story 2. I graduated in '05. I was sitting at a tire shop waiting for my truck to get done, and an employee slightly older than me walks up to me and asks me, with no previous interaction, if I played football in high school. Wondering where this was going, I responded that I did, but I wasn't great at it. He asked what school I went to, and I told him. Then he starts talking about himself, how he was all conference, and walking me through all of his high school accolades. I never asked for this conversation. I just sat there wondering why this nearly 40-year-old, wildly out of shape, tire shop supervisor was telling me all of this. Then just as soon as it started, he bid me good day and walked off. It was bizarre. The best comparison I could make was that he was like the manager Dan from the movie Waiting. That was his vibe. That's how I knew he peaked in high school. Story 3. When I was active on Facebook years ago, someone started a sort of reunion group. I was the nerd in this scenario. One of the high school gals who was incredibly cruel found someone to marry her and ended up a stay-at-home mom who spent all day spouting bitter hate towards everyone while complaining about her own kids getting bullied at school. She had gained a lot of weight, and I'm fat myself, but she was even bigger than I. This gal would make the nastiest comments on my pictures to include my weight, which was hilarious considering her own size, insult my job, my husband, and talk about how I was still the ugly nerd. The moderators refused to kick her off despite this. She posted similar vile shit on others' posts too, so I ended up reporting her to Facebook security for cyberbullying just cause, and left the group. Now that her kids are in school, she got a job in the public schools. She's probably bullying other parents now for all I know. Story 4. A story from my real life about an experience with a 30-something who definitely peaked in high school. About 15 years ago, I was working at a retail store. At the time, I was in my early 20s. I worked with a woman in her mid-30s. One day, pizza was ordered for what I assumed was for all employees. Also, I was told by the manager that there was pizza and to take a break and get some. I went up to the break room and the coworker was also in the break room. I grabbed a couple of slices of the pizza and began eating. She clearly was pissed that I did this. I assumed she was annoyed that I was eating the pizza, but being young and fearing conflict, I just let it go, figuring she would too. Besides, the manager told me to have some. On my next break, I go to the break room, and the pizza boxes are still on the table, except there is something written on the top, paraphrasing, "This is not for you. Don't take things that don't belong to you without asking." I was upset, but knew the manager had told me I could have some and figured it would blow over. It did not blow over. From that day, anytime I was near her, she would talk about my looks or anything she thought might get a rise out of me to her friends. If it wasn't that, she was obviously annoyed by my presence and made it crystal clear in a passive-aggressive, petty way. Her behavior reminded me of a high school mean girl. Her immaturity because of some stupid misunderstanding could have been solved if she had just talked to me about it. Edit. Some people have asked for more details about the pizza situation. I never found out what the deal was. My assumption is that the girl and a few other employees, including the manager, went in on the pizza together. I am 99% sure she just never knew the manager offered me some pizza and thought I just helped myself. Like I said above, this was over 15 years ago, 2006-2007. Some of the details have faded from my memory. What I remember has been described in this comment. I didn't work there long because of the girl's attitude towards me. She also caused a couple of co-workers who were previously nice to me to stop talking to me and ignore me when we were together, which aided in my departure. Pizzagate 2006 was never solved, and while I will always remember that a woman who was almost twice my age started talking shit about me and turning others against me because I had a couple slices of pizza and didn't seek her approval. Story 5. When I was a teen in the 90s, I frequently rode the city bus, and there was a guy who would ride the bus just to talk to people. He was really nice, and I didn't mind talking to him, but he was stuck on his high school football career to the point that everyone he talked to was handled a business card with his contact info on it and his high school senior photo. He was like 80. Story 6. Living their dreams through their kids. We have a lot of that in my town, trying to redo it all again. It is a lot. It makes me roll my eyes a lot. My kids enjoyed high school. It was fun watching them dance, do band and play football, but I was not invested in it as if it was happening to me. I wanted it for them. Good things. But if it didn't, I prepared them for that too. When my son's team lost the state championship game his senior year after the team winning the 5 years before and 3 years after, I watched a guy go off on his kid because it was his job to win it. What? My son was devastated, but he still had amazing things to come and has went on to do amazing things. Yeah, he looks back and hates they lost, but it was a teaching moment. Story 7. I used to work with a guy. We used to call him Roid Rage. He was very muscular, very masculine, and let everybody know both those things about him constantly. One day I'm sitting next to him in the break room, and he's talking to me, unprompted as always, about how he went to attend an award ceremony for his son who won something regarding his football performance. I said, "Well, that was nice of you to go and support him." "Nice?" he said. "It was fucking sad, man. That used to be me. Now I'm the old guy in the room who has to watch someone else win something I should have had. And all I could think was, what a loser. You can't just be happy your son won this award and be proud of him. You have to make it about you." Story 8. In my experience, it's the people that talk about things that happened in HS as if it were yesterday. Constantly. I had an ex who would always tell me crazy stories. I'd ask, "When did this happen?" She would say sophomore year, and we were mid-20s. Over time, it became clear that HS was the best years of her life, and most likely will continue to be as she didn't have much ambition after HS. I had one good year in HS and reminisce about it every now and then, but it is not on the forefront of my mind. Story 9. I feel like people who say high school is the best years of your life are really misrepresenting it. They aren't the best years of your life because high school is awesome. They're the best years of your life because that's the point in life when you have maximum freedom with minimal responsibility. Most of us get a driver's license, get our first serious girl boyfriend, go do things without our parents, etc. And all you really have to worry about is getting decent grades and maybe a shitty part-time job. During college, freedom stays high, but responsibility starts catching up. Then once you have a career and family, the responsibilities overtake the freedom, and you start longing for the good old days. You don't actually miss high school, just the freedom and lack of responsibility. I turn 40 next month, and my 30s have been far and away the best decade of my life. Sometimes I wish things were as simple as they were back then, but no way in hell would I ever go back. Story 10. One of my high school teachers explained it like this: "Don't let anyone tell you that these are the best years of your life. It's a lie. Your high school years actually suck. If you go to college, you'll make friends with people based on shared values, not because you've been in the same schools since grade 1. You'll have more fulfilling relationships, more freedom, and as the years go by, more discretionary income. And just when you think it can't get any better, your children grow up, move out of the house, and leave you with the freedom and time and money to do damn near anything you want. But you'll never be this thin or pretty again, so enjoy that." Story 11. I had a teacher who said, "These are the best years of your lives." Since I graduated in 2003, every single year has been better than every year of school since I can really remember. High school was fucking awful and seriously depressing. I had to work as a janitor through grades 11 and 12 to pay rent. I dropped out with one class left to get a union construction job. I'm back in university now doing an engineering degree because I have worked to get my life in a position where this is possible.
Story 12. I'm married to a man I met in high school, and I can tell from people's reactions when I say that some people assume that means we peaked in high school. But those reactions are split 50-50 with people who think it's super sweet, adorable, like a fairy tale, etc. It's always funny to tell someone new about it and see which side of the line they land on. For the record, in high school, I was painfully socially awkward and being abused by a person I thought was my best friend. And my husband was constantly on the verge of failing out because he didn't find schoolwork interesting/challenging. But now he's got a great career and a lot of very engaging hobbies. Those were absolutely not the best years of our lives. In fact, the only reason I remember high school fondly is that it's where I met him. Story 13. If they are in their 30s, 40s and they wear their letter jacket outside of things like high school reunions, where it's only barely appropriate, they still brag about their high school GPA or any accomplishment they made in high school. They wear their HS class ring outside of things like high school reunions. High school could have been fun. It's fine to reminisce, like how at my HS they made a random freshman swallow a goldfish whole as a school-sanctioned event. But if it defines you still, you peaked in HS. Story 14. I talk about when I was in wrestling for high school from time to time. For me, it was the only positive moment in high school. My best friend, since we were 4 years old, and I were on the team and training partners. We had a blast and took nothing too serious. Just the pure joy of beating the crap out of one another in practice and still being friends after it was over. He died when he was 24. It's been almost 7 years without him. My world is different without him in it, and talking about those days keeps him alive. I didn't peak in high school. I wasn't popular. I never went to prom, never even had a girlfriend. But those days are the few good memories I have left of him. Before he died, he was in a downward spiral, and I refuse to remember him that way. That's not who he was. Story 15. My sister is one of these. Most frustrating are these moments. Her, you were never good in math. Me, I have a degree in robotics, a very math-heavy subject. Her, well, I took a high school math class that earned me college credit, so that is better than what you have. Me, you are comparing one high school class against an entire college degree. Her, I earned college credit. Me, maybe, at most, 3 hours, and you would have to find a school that would accept those hours. And you graduated over 20 years ago. What you have is pointless.